Hi, everybody. This is Last Minute Politics, and we have started a Patreon finally. Our goal is to make a little community of like rando leftist furries or non-furries, and if you feel like nobody on the vast internet gets what the hell you're talking about, maybe you can talk to us, and we aren't going to try to be like, well, you see, the Democrats don't have the votes, and that's why you're an idiot. Like, we aren't going to say stuff like that. We want to like talk about ideas and what we think should be done with our greater political system.
Yeah, we'll say things like, the Democrats don't have the votes. Let's vote those fuckers out so we do get the votes.
But if you want to be in this discussion, the only reward for our Patreon is access to a Discord, our Discord, the one we're recording on right now, actually.
Yeah.
So if you get on that Discord, you can, our perk starting out is that you can sit in the very Discord room we're in right now
and
listen
probably
to
hang
us
out
record
with
live.
people who like to listen to this. So for whatever that's worth.
That's kind of the big appeal would be you can meet some people who probably think a little closer to you. Not just in the grand, like, we think Republicans make bad decisions.
Right.
That's a big group. We can get a little bit more specific and like, no, we think this is what the action should be. Or we can kind of get closer to what we all think should be done instead. It is patreon.com/lastminutepolitics, all one word. The link will be under whatever you're listening to right now in the description, unless they like block out our URL or something. So you can listen to us record the thing in real time. You can sit in our general text channel where we'll be posting political memes and just random fappery of, did you see this shit? If we hit 10 patrons, I'm gonna start doing some, like, when I play online video games, I'll get in that channel and say, hey, everybody, we're playing this game. Do you want to play some games with us? We also want to use that channel for listener questions, or if there's topics you want to hear us talk about, or things that might not hit our regular radar because they're not like global or national news, you can tell us about it there. And as an example, we had somebody who, this is not through Patreon because it was not open at this time, but they sent us money on PayPal and also put a question in there.
Nice.
This is a question from Gunnar, or just Gunnar. They ask, everyone likes to say what they would do different. I'd like to see y'all tackle a scenario head on sometime. If the three of us, okay, so basically, if we were the president or actually, let's make this restricted here. Let's say we were the U.S. president exactly as the office exists right now. So let's say we were somehow Freaky Friday'd with Joe Biden. You are the president now. What changes would you make to affect a more positive change in this country towards the gay space socialism that we all wish to achieve? I'm going to narrow this question to things that you could do right now as the U.S. president with the current rule set and the current all that. I would do everything I possibly could, this is going to sound weird, to reduce the power of the office of the president, possibly eliminate it by the end of my 4 years. The funny thing is, I don't think I'd last 4 years, because if a president actually started doing that, I think they would impeach him for that. I think they would convict and remove them if they tried to actually diminish the power of the office.
I'm conspiracy theorist enough that you would potentially get assassinated for real.
Oh yeah, they would kill you. They'd blow up your fucking car. They would do something. Like, it'd be like, oh, Secret Service, here's $20.
I don't think that, I genuinely believe it would not be the Secret Service, because the only reason they work is their oath is so pure. Like, it's one of the few things. They didn't take out Cheeto, okay? And everyone's sitting there going, yeah, we don't give a shit about his policies, but he does have his finger on the nuclear button, and that's not okay.
So I feel like saying I would diminish the office of the president is not just so I don't sound like I'm doing a cop-out. I would a flurry of crazy executive orders that would definitely be overturned by the time I get out of my 4 years. Ooh, I would and I would end every you can't just say end like we would just leave the next day, but actually end all of our rando foreign international conflicts, and I would try to shrink the size of the military. Dragor, go for it. You said you had one.
It's not so much as an immediate effect as I fully admit I don't know enough about how executive orders and legalities of them work in detail. But given that, either through just straight up words or what I can enforce through executive orders is attack directly gerrymandering, and lobbying. Everything else I want is essentially infinitely held up by gerrymandering and campaign finance reform. So,
can you executive order away the electoral college? Is that
So-
there something you can do?
So, what don't you hear a president even do? Because to a certain extent, while executive orders are important, so, immediately end kids in cages, end Gitmo, make that the thing. Every time a microphone's in front of you, be like, I want to end kids in cages, but these senators and House reps won't. The voice and demagogue position of the president, I think, is a power that is not being used at all. So to your point, not having the office of the president as it is today with too much power, I agree with. But until we get there, holy shit, prime people's brains for the things we want, because no one's even thinking about your average person probably doesn't know the depth to which gerrymandering is fucking them.
Oh yeah. Dragger,
Xander,
just
what
think
would you
about
do
this.
as the
I just wanted to add on what Dragger was saying, and that just think of what a fucking loudmouth and influence Trump was over the last 4 years. And then just think about what Joe could be raising a stink about. That's what he could be doing right now. I was like, where the fuck are the $2,000 fucking checks? That's what Joe could be doing. God damn it. What the hell, man? That could be him.
You just become me on Twitter, but also you're the president.
Yeah,
so you're just Democrats, what the shit? Why haven't you done
Basically, yes.
But he will never do that because he's got special interests to worry about and things.
Those just aren't his goals.
He needs to be Shadow
That isn't
Joe.
fundamentally. He doesn't fundamentally think that that's how things should be.
Yeah. I know that.
His political philosophy was developed in the fucking 70s.
Well, but to be fair, the political party still represents the people at that time, and he's not dumb enough to ignore that. So he knows the only reason Biden is the most progressive fucking president is because
Most progressive candidate of all of history ever.
Because history dragged him along. So it is what it is, but it's
It's like, Joe, I know you like segregation, but it's over. You can't like it anymore. It's like, fine.
Okay. Yeah. He might secretly think that shit, and I'm not okay with it, of course, but fuck, I don't know, Dragger.
It's just what it is, yeah. Oh, sorry, I didn't want, was that your answer? Or do you have more of an answer?
Oh, what he could do?
What you could do if you just were Freaky Friday Joe Biden's body.
Jesus Christ. I would go to Mexico, I guess.
That's as president, the way I would improve America would be to leave the country.
So many stories. They're Joe Biden just got in on a plane to fucking Mexico. What is happening?
And he's not coming back. He's not coming back. He's just staying in Mexico.
But then you go to the
fuck
fucking
it.
kids in cages thing and do something about this shit. It's all visuals.
If you get rid of the kids in cages, I'll come back to America.
Yeah, you do stupid media shit if you really care, because that's where politics are now.
Yeah, just to add on to that idea, if I was president, I would fucking join one of these protests for a cause I believe in and get fucking arrested. That people are
That's
what
not
could
a
they
bad
do?
idea.
What could the Democrats possibly do? I'm like, put your ass outside and get arrested for shit you supposedly care about.
A Democrat
that's supposedly on your
president
agenda.
that would get arrested at a protest? That's wild
just
idea.
I think people should have blah 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 jobs. I as the president can't do that. I need Congress, so I'm gonna go get fucking arrested over it. And Congress, who's like, well, we can't do it. We don't have the votes. You should be out there getting arrested. That's. Because think about it, everybody who's in politics, they're all rich enough they can afford bail. They're all in the system. They're not going to take big jail sentences. Them going to jail is just I'm going to walk into the thing whoop-de-doo, officer, hello, sign my papers and shit. They're not going to get beat up by an officer like the way regular schmoes do.
I'm just imagining him walking up, fucking arrest me. It's oh boy, this is a thing now.
As your president, I order you to arrest me.
That was
some
the
goddamn
story,
attention
give or
to it.
take, back in the day. One of the older presidents from who knows how long ago. Was it FDR? I don't know. Got pulled over for speeding, and the officer's like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't know it was the president. I'll leave you be." And he's like,
"What do you, man?
I was
You
breaking
gotta
the law.
do the
Give me the goddamn ticket."
You're the executive branch. I'm the executive. Do your job."
Holy shit.
Okay. So like we have for several weeks been putting off
That's
various
true.
topics
Oh,
because we've
fudge.
been lucky. We got some guests, we had people in here, but Xander I
I'll
think
do it,
went
I'll do it.
for 3 sessions now,
That's
where
true.
he wants to talk about essentially like where all the we live in a very consumer based society.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the United States, the position of consumer is kind of like the Uber position now. That's who we all cater to as the consumer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Xander wanted to talk about
Yeah.
what we're actually consuming and like how that works.
Yeah, because like it came up in recently the idea of veganism and capitalism and how that works. And it's like, yeah, ultimately we're thinking about every product you have. It comes down to, am I okay with the amount of association we have with each other in making said product? Like, it's almost like everything and it's almost like a function of like the society to say like, hey, it's your job to be the judge of whether or not, like, I kind of get, like, do you think that is necessary? Like, do you think it's your responsibility to think where your stuff comes from?
Well, so if we look at the root word of the word liberal, liberty, like freedom, right? Libertad. It's also supposed to be the freedom, but the freedom to what? And it seems to be, or at least I would say, that it is the freedom to buy. And we are all encouraged to be consumers, and we're all encouraged to that, like, oh, the way that you can most express your individuality is through consumption,
Yeah.
through purchases of what you do and don't buy. And like I could, Xander? What's the communist saying? There is no.
Oh, ethical
There is no ethical consumption under capitalism.
Yeah, like that's the line here. There is no ethical. No matter what you're buying, somebody was exploited to make it. But I want to like kind of look past that and like actually engage in it. Like, yeah, well, we are all consumers though, and we all can literally vote with our wallets. Like, what does that mean? What does it do? And that's why I think it's an interesting topic.
My personal belief is that there is more ethical than less, and that's a personal decision everyone makes. But like, we kind of all, it's the fucking marketplace of ideas, baby. Basically, just like that. But you get what I'm saying, or no?
So as a grounded example, and one like we listed about talking about. Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
We have a fast food restaurant that everybody who pays attention knows did like a morally not even did. It's not even like the whole company.
It's like
a guy who way in charge of it did a morally objectionable thing, and then how do we react to it
Right.
as
And
like
it's like,
their consumer base?
do I not eat this chicken because it's the way that they raise the chickens, or because of how they're executing the gays in Uganda? It's like you have to check your phone to like, what's the latest on Chick-fil-A? And
What's the specific reason we don't like
that's a
Chick-fil-A?
lot of stress. No one has time for that shit. And I understand why they try to make us not do that. But I think it's better
there
overall
is-
if we do think about the things that we're consuming and ultimately the harm cost benefit analysis, because a lot of this shit is not even that fucking beneficial to our lives, that they push down our throats, honestly. But yeah.
So what I'm going to say is going to sound like I'm like, wow, this isn't even a topic anyone should talk about. It's going to sound like I'm doing an even longer version of the there is no ethical consumption under capitalism argument.
Okay.
But I think it should be at least considered or entertained, because when they say there is no ethical consumption under capitalism, what they mean is like the capitalist mode of production is itself
Fucked.
exploitative.
You're right.
Think of a product, any products I'm currently wearing. I am wearing socks that were probably bought at a Walmart, meaning they were probably made by small children on an island far, far, far away. The same could go for any of my articles of clothing. The speakers I'm going through, they are Yamaha brand. Yamaha does not hand make their own shit, so who's making it? Probably Chinese children.
Yeah.
So then I got looking around my room farther. I got some IKEA furniture. Oh yeah, the Swedish don't make that shit. The Swedish design and sell that shit. It is made in factories, probably in Indonesia, around places like that. So when you go about how we can't eat at Chick-fil-A because the Chick-fil-A CEO doesn't like the gays.
I'm drinking a Coca-Cola Zero, and I think they had fucking murder people, like armies or some shit. If you like Google Coca-Cola murder farms, I'm sure something comes up.
If your company has existed since the 1800s, they've definitely murdered people.
Yes.
Like to get the product to what it is now.
Exactly.
Like it's definitely
IBM and
happened.
BMW, Nazi collaborators.
Oh yeah. Who's the one who made fucking not Agent Orange, the fucking Nazi kill the Jews gas? Who made that?
that
They still exist
Bayer?
as a company. whoever they, I think it is Bayer.
Yeah.
Whoever they are, they still exist as a company. It doesn't even matter what name we pull out. The company that made the gas that came out of the shower heads to kill Jewish people in the Holocaust still exists as a company. And you probably have bought their shit within the last year. Like, everything is so connected. Everything is, how many, like, what, 6 big companies are every major consumer product in the whole world?
Pretty much.
So it kind of comes down to what's the balance between the just complete, it's almost like a consumer, not apathy, consumerist nihilism, where there's just nothing I do matters. Like, where is the point between literal nothing I do matters? Because if you think about it, it might not. And I shouldn't eat at X company because X company is shitty.
So I have like a middle ground that I personally operate from, and it's essentially as follows. The ultimate nihilism of it, to a certain extent, is there, but if enough things gain certain social currencies, that does change corporate behaviors as far as how they display themselves to the public in order to get money. And the biggest example of that is, Xander, you know, was it Stephanie McMahon? Some person was like, it is fashionable now to appear charitable.
Okay, I got it for you. Stephanie McMahon, the quote is, "Charity is the future of business." There's some shit like that. Ooh.
And so
I think Stephanie is very correct.
She's not wrong.
So that is correct, and that is an awful way to look at it. But as far as tangible things, is it tangibly better for companies to quote unquote weaponize goodwill than to donate and fund a politician that hates the gays? I say yes, totally it actually is. It makes a difference.
I found the actual quote, by the way. It's so gross.
Well, Drager, you're almost talking about the flip, where the opposite of a Chick-fil-A, meaning a company that gives their money to bad things, would be a company that theoretically gives their money to good things, and then that would be. Does that mean you should buy whatever whose product?
In other words, kind of like, let's look at Bill Gates and the Gates Foundation.
Or any product that says it's green. Any product that says it's a green product and will save the environment. Like, that's why you buy it, right? It's supposed to be, it's trying to morally hook you. Yo, fucker, don't buy that tin foil. Buy this tin foil. I don't say tin. Don't buy that aluminum foil.
Well, and like the intent of it, I agree with. How it is twisted under capitalism is a problem. So, like, free range is bad. That just means there is another square foot outside that the chicken can leave the square foot inside. But
it's a certain specific
there is a
federal
label
definition
that is essentially actually ethically
I think that's
raised.
okay.
And that does matter.
Like,
but are those products the same price?
No, they
cheaper?
cost more.
Oh, do they?
But, like, if someone wants to make that effort, Pepper, let them, okay?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's not, that's not the argument I'm making. The argument I'm making is if enough people are genuinely upset over the person at the top of a company donating to things that are inhumane, that is a step in the right direction of changing the entire collective conscious towards caring a little bit more. And I'm not saying that solves the problem in no way, shape, or form. The system is nefariously big and problematic. But I'm not saying it's
I want to believe it's possible, but like it's sometimes hard to see like companies like WWE and Nestle and shit, and let's do the WWE like firing people during a pandemic, making a profit, and the fans just not giving a shit. I don't know. It's weird to me. Like I don't know.
Well, we all know this word. It's reactive. Like it's kind of like how it's like giving Obama credit for legalizing gay marriage. He didn't have any interest in doing that. That wasn't part of his agenda. That was not one of the things that the Democratic Party wanted to get done when the Obama presidency happened. It happened because general public opinion had finally shifted so far in that one direction that everybody, your literal grandma's like, who gives a shit? Let the gays get married.
You were close. Finally, Obama's
Joe
like, Biden, I believe. He's just like,
Joe Biden fucked it up. He's like, I think, look, listen here, Jack. We're going to let Jack, it's
man.
Jack and Jack, not Adam and
Jack
Steve.
and Steve.
Not,
Jack and Steve. Jack and Pete.
whatever.
My friend
It's Jack
Pete.
and-
But he's married, so
it's
never mind.
Jack and
so.
Pete and Jack can get up to whatever malarkey they want
dude.
in
And
their own
it's
bedroom.
sanctioned by the state. Has nothing to do with the fucking church.
State
Anyway.
sanction. So that's my big issue with trying to attach any kind of morality to, these, to any company.
We are always, but we're stuck in it. That's the thing. It's
Well, it's kind of. So I see a similarity between the argument of like some people will argue that electoralism just doesn't work
I
at
can
all.
understand
like we should
that
focus
argument.
zero energy on any election at all. Yeah, well, you
Yeah, I
kind of
get
get how
it.
futile it is, right? Like when you look at the actual election system, you can go, well, you see, it is so rigged. Fuck it. Just completely fuck it. And some people have gone that far. I will still vote in every election that they let me vote in. Because why not? Like it does let me kind of affect elections. I think that once you've gotten to the election, it's now like so late. Usually you're going to get like a totally shit candidate and like a 90% shit candidate. And I'm going to vote for the 90% one, I guess, meaning Joe Biden, and we'll put him in office. But, so like when it comes to consumer products, I think it's more insidious because it's not free. You still have to spend money. And I think usually it ends up being, because like I said, 4 companies own everything. Even when you see, unless you can buy it, like, okay, person-to-person transactions, if you can buy, to keep my clothes analogy, a pair of socks from a person who literally made the fucking socks, give them money, you get socks, do that. Do that every time you possibly can, because that is one of the only ways you can ensure that that money does not go directly to fucking GE or Amazon or whatever the fuck. So, like, even if you're buying truly, you talk about cage-free eggs, like the fake cage-free eggs where it's like, okay, you get one more square centimeter to move chicken and then you still get a tortured life and die. Or the truly cage-free eggs, which cost 10 times as much, they're probably sold by the same company that sells you the torture murder eggs. It's just a recuperation of your want to make a better purchase. They use that as an advertising floor. Like that's its own demographic now.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? The ad demographic of people who want to buy moral things.
Which
I am scared that liberalism has become a marketing demographic.
it is. It absolutely is. But
I
I'm not.
fucking hate that.
I hate it too.
They got
but,
your money either way.
But Pepper, I will not. I am fully entrenched in only this life and harm reduction. And whether it's a marketing tactic or not, at least here, the organic or farm raised, whatever the actual term is, it is verifiable that it is more ethical regardless of how it is packaged and the transaction takes place.
So people make decisions under capitalism to maximize profit, right? So even if in theory everybody let's say every single human in America started to buy the ethical eggs, whatever version that is, and stop buying the regular eggs. After how many years does it take for them to then whittle the ethical eggs for purpose of maximizing profit right back down to being basically the unethical eggs? Then they can sell you super ethical eggs. They're even more ethical from the regular ethical eggs. Like, you see how it just becomes another advertising
the
site.
difference made is still worth it? I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. How do you prove an actual difference? Like, this is like people telling me,
numbers?
oh yeah,
I
if
don't
you buy
know.
this, we'll plant a tree. We promise. We promise we'll plant that tree. It's like, well, where
You
is it?
gotta
Did you plant
believe
it?
numbers at studies eventually, Pep. I don't know what else to tell you.
Yeah, at some point
Well,
you
I mean
have to
corporate
trust
behavior.
in the label assigned. And what I'm saying, as far as the chickens and eggs discussion we're having right now on this topic alone, there is a label that has legal repercussions if you don't follow it. And like it is
Yes.
tangibly better.
We were told that impeaching
Hey.
the president does something. And
Yes, and you
that
can go
didn't
look up
fucking-
in the Constitution what that means, and most people don't know what that means.
It gives
regardless
Grandpa a
of what
justice
people want
boner,
out of
okay?
it.
Just let them have their justice boner.
Like, that's the government. That's like shit built into the Constitution. Now we're talking about trusting companies to make sure labels aren't lies. And we've just gone through generations
and
of
there
that shit
is
of
a
like companies
government-
intentionally
There is a
mislabeling.
government-backed label that means something. It isn't just a
who's
company
government?
inventing the label, Pepper. This is like this is the core of what
Every
I'm trying
4
to get
years.
across. You're obfuscating the company inventing a label and having no repercussions for it. That is not what's going on in every situation. Some of these things have technical terms that actually have to be adhered to. Now, that doesn't mean they don't and that there isn't other illegal things going on, but there actually is a legal beneficial basis to some of these things.
we were having the same not literally we, but people were having the same conversation in like the 1900s, and at that time I'm sure they were like, oh, see, this one has a label on it that says no children were caught in a thresher in the making of this shirt. Like businesses, as long as it's really just my distrust of the system, and anything that counts on the system to work in order to make things better. I'm like, yeah, but the system already doesn't work. We already know that.
Don't we eventually have to settle on
it.
some kind of system though, as people?
Yes, but none of them involve like Tyson chicken. In the same way it's structured now. We do not have to have 5 companies that own everything.
Oh, yeah.
And that's
absolutely.
where all these problems come from. It's the same 5 current structure. It's just not really feasible to do what we're talking about. If we had a structure different from what we do, and we could actually believe and count on, oh, this is Chris. Chris farms chickens. He says he doesn't fuck his chickens, so you're going to buy the eggs from Chris. And you buy them, and then everything's cool. But we've removed the 50 above that steps that are shareholders and all the other like fucking Captain Planet level mwahaha evil nonsense added to everything done under our current economic system.
I gotcha. And the thing is, like, all these different ways are good ways to frame and look at the problem, and ultimately it depends on how that framework ends up in action. And if they just end up being the same actions, I don't care how we get, like, we're just trying to figure out how to get there. So like when we're not just jerking ourselves off by doing this stuff, like it's
we want to be able to buy a shirt and not have it be made by slaves.
That is the goal.
We want that. That's the goal.
And it is more possible with the internet.
We all want
well, honestly, yeah. Let's talk about how technology has made capitalism more Yes, it has made it so overcomplicated and unnecessary. Like, what we can do now with technology, like, is exposing capitalism, especially when you have things like Blender and whatnot that are, like, getting so fucking good, you know what I'm saying? And that's free open source stuff that is able to evolve and whatnot, Go ahead.
I would like to quickly give a clarification and definition to what Xander just said. Blender is an open source and free as in money and free as in beer and free as in speech 3D modeling and animation software. So you can spend $1 bazillion on a license. You don't even get to own the software from Adobe, or you can go get the free one. And the free one it's basically donation and communism.
It is a standard of the industry now because,
What happened essentially was capitalism failed in that a bunch of people had enough means to go, the thing we're paying for sucks, and there's this free one over here, and we can just contribute to it and make it better, and everyone can gain benefit from that.
Absolutely.
How about just tell us what your Dragor kind of already said this. What practically do you do with this information? Like, how do you personally, as a consumer, behave? Like, to frame it, I am aware, like, just to use Chick-fil-A as an overarching the example, like, I don't eat Chick-fil-A because I know everything about Chick-fil-A. And while at the same time I realize that every product I buy at some level is like funding exploitation, I also recognize that I still need to fucking eat. I still have to pay rent. And usually the cheapest products you can buy are the least ethically made, but like, you gotta live your life. And once we dismantle the system of capitalism, such exploitation, it's all gonna kind of go away. So we live in hell and we buy in purgatory. Who would like to go next?
Sorry to follow.
It's
Pepper.
Yes.
Pepper
I wish
and
it was
Xander,
more satisfying.
Pepper, I don't know if you're old enough for noticing when this transition happened. Xander, I don't know. You tell me if you know it or not. But as far as reading a lot of articles online and listening to the news, I lived through the transition of companies calling their patrons customers into calling them consumers.
Ooh.
And this is part of why, like, the masses and the moral pulse, if you will, matters to me. Because things to me and like how people care about things got worse with that language shift. Like, that was very intentional. A customer is a person. A consumer is a thing.
I do believe that the revolution will be bottom up in that, like you're talking about how general like consciousness shifting towards X. I do think that's how it will happen, and that's the way we have to do it, is that all the randos at the bottom have to do something. I just don't know how much, like when was the last truly effective boycott? And it's like
That's a good
Selma.
question, honestly.
Like that was the Montgomery bus boycott was like the last truly effective boycott. Now it's like conservatives blowing up their Keurig machines for tweets. And that's what boycotts are now. They just don't do anything because I'll boycott X company to go to Y company. Surprise! They're both owned by the same Uber company. And
it is hard to assess that damage because you got companies like the big Cyberpunk game that shit the fucking bed, and no one's going to forget that. So when they release their next thing, they're going to have their hardcores to follow it, but they will be vastly less than where they were. But they're still going to do fine. Yeah, I know.
We hope. People are still buying Ubisoft games, and they raped a bunch of people.
Yeah.
But
I bought one for my brother, and I found out afterwards.
They just don't even care.
What the fuck? Like, God.
Oh, no. Let me just let me buy Assassin's Creed 15. Let's check the news.
I
Oh,
need to
no.
get a fucking Christmas presents. And I'm like, fuck. So,
if you guys aren't already aware, Ubisoft is shit fuck tons of all of the executive board members doing various sexual assaults, and just
Jim
nothing has
Sterling's
ever come
channel
out of it. That's why we keep talking
and
about
there
it.
are many, yes.
Jim Sterling is fantastic.
Many documentation of said things.
So, Xander, do you have any final thoughts on your specific topic?
Well, I just wanted to broach it because I realized that.
What do you think people should be doing?
I just wanted to bring it up because cancel culture is ultimately that question of should we be responsible for our consumption choices? Because when we cancel someone, we say, I will no longer consume that product, and I'm checking that off in my mind. So that is the discussion we're having about why that's important, and because people live off that shit. And that is not something to throw away. Like kind of how you said, people have to live right now in hell. So
what's best practices for getting through hell?
Yeah.
I mean, really, it sounds like I'm saying a joke. It's not. It's really it.
And
what are the best practices for while we all exist here?
Grassroots is word of mouth. And if there's one thing we keep seeing, Bernie, AOC, all these new progressives showing up, every last one of them is grassroots.
Oh, yeah, bottom-up revolution.
Like what you said, bottom up is how it's all going to happen.
Yes.
So part of an individual not eating at Chick-fil-A is good, but the other part of it, too, is in a non-accusatory way going, hey, by the way, they do this shit. There's these other places that aren't shit. And, like, just spreading that idea, if people don't know that everything is awful or that certain things are more pointedly awful in a way that is very tangible to them. So I hate to say it, but a lot of the abuse of capitalism in America, people don't see the child labor abuse. They don't see the effects of suicide nets on the electronics factories in China. Those are removed. But when Chick-fil-A sponsors and throws money at Prop 8 in California or something, where like literally
most of the Mormons,
at home
but yes.
right now, they're going to screw over gay people. That crosses the threshold, and I think it's important to continue to do that because you have to condition people to go, oh, I learned that this thing is bad, and I don't want to participate in it. And you have to start somewhere. You can't just go, hey, did you know everything is fucked? Like,
You're
lose
right.
people if you do that.
You're right. You're totally right.
Well, like here, okay. So when I talk about recuperation and how the liberals, capital L liberals, are treated like they're more of a consumer demographic than a political movement, is there are a ton of people who. So as I said, consumer is like the main unit under capitalism. We are all treated as individuals, but specifically because we are individual consumers, and we are told over and over again how we can vote with our dollars to like change reality, to change the world. They tell you over and over in school, oh, if you don't like it, that's why we all hear about the Montgomery bus boycott, is because then they're like, oh, as an adult, buying things can affect how the system works. I do not believe that happens anymore because of the whole 4 companies own everything in the world, and what are you going to do? Because competition on a practical level has already basically been
You know what
eliminated.
buying effects?
Start a Google. Can you start a Google right now? No. Start a YouTube. Start a Facebook. Start a fucking Instagram. It's impossible. There is no
Buying
competition.
stonks affects a lot.
Stonks. Yeah, they're about to change. They're about to change the rules, so you can't do that
Yeah,
shit
well,
either. So
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun ride to see them struggle.
I think they like to tell us. They like to, in the same way that you put boxing gloves on a toddler and say, punch me, haha, look at him, haha, it's so funny. I think they use our belief that our purchases can change things. I think they use that shit against us. I'm kind of getting out there in speculation now. I think they use that shit against us and they count on it. They're like, look, that fucking idiot, he's not going to do anything. He thinks that buying a burrito will change the world.
Yeah.
Cop punch.
They absolutely bake in. That's why you have Stephanie McMahon going, the future of advertising
what was
is
the
goodwill.
exact quote? I actually put it here. Philanthropy is the future of marketing. It's the way brands are going to win.
And that's why Jeff Bezos can't be the CEO anymore. Jeff Bezos is stepping down from CEO because he's sick of being shit on Amazon and he wants to be seen like a Bill
my
Gates.
God.
Why does Bill Gates have such a good reputation? Because everyone perceives him as a very generous donation person and he wants to be the Bill Gates.
Oh my God.
Make no mistake,
PR,
Bill
baby.
Gates taking on with his personal wealth and power to effectively eliminate malaria is a good thing that malaria was eliminated. But how it happened and how we got there is so fucked. It's unbelievable.
When you remember that Bill Gates believes and has talked about how overpopulation is a thing.
no.
Guess what populations he wants to reduce? Do you think it's the Gates family? Do you think it's California? Do you think those are the populations that he thinks are the overpopulation? No, fuckers. It's a bunch of Africans. He wants to reduce the number of Africans specifically, where he controls the vaccine supply. And that's how Q gets the babies to rip the foreskin off to rub on the foreheads of Celine Dion to keep her looking young. Okay, everyone, I feel I've gone too far.
Hey, he's another rich guy who just thinks I'm rich, so that means I'm obviously smarter than the government. I will do the thing and solve the problem because I am Superman. So
if Bill Gates really was, as everyone likes to say, giving away all of his money, he would not have more money this year than he did last year. If he was giving away all his money, it wouldn't take him 50 years to give it all away. It would be given away now. Like, Bill, here's how you give away all your money. How much money do you have? Okay, give that much away. You've now given away all of your money.
the philanthropy is their victory lap of capitalism in justifying it. You know, it's that I'm being the good person now. So that it is a justification like that. But yeah, taxes.
It really is an extension on
churches picking up the slack. You're right.
Yes. Well, not so much. I wasn't going to say that. I was going to say one of the core tenets of if you confess and are forgiven, it washes away your sins. I'm like, no, fucker. No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it's true.
You need absolution.
Just because you're a good philanthropist at the end does not erase the fact that Bill Gates is critically responsible for fucking copyright law, for bullying and abusing tech. Like,
it's a bunch of false
shit.
premises. Let's
Copyright law.
It's the idea that the charity will not get done or that help will not be done if not for capitalism. And a lot of people have bought that hook, line, and sinker of capitalism being the necessary evil. I know my brother's one of those fucking people that thinks that
he wants to exert influence over countries, and the way you can exert influence over a country that has nothing is to provide medical need. That's one of the ways. And if he's like, look, I have all the malaria vaccines. Your country's economy or government needs malaria vaccines. So could you do a little bit of this to help me out so I can give you those malaria vaccines? And that's how the shit ends up happening if it's under one fucking guy or the Melinda Bill Gates Foundation. Like,
we're constantly fighting
all these people.
This is the best we can do.
So, Drago, you want to talk about what can and can't be done, like, practically, and specifically, like, with Democrats in control. Like, this is a good move for that. Before you start talking, I'm going to pee. So if you try to bounce to me, I won't respond.
It's all right. I'm here.
That's okay. I was gonna go right into. I am pleasantly fucking shocked that. The Democrats did use budget reconciliation to pass the thing.
Yeah, exactly.
But But what they passed is still such a pale, like it's an embarrassment what they're passing, but it is way better than zero.
It is.
So, like, tangibly, they could just, like, right now, tangibly, COVID could end, and in 2 months, everyone could, like, at the end of 2 months, everyone could get their second vaccination shot and be done with it. Like, everyone, you have Dr. Fauci still basically saying, you know, we're at this point where the vaccine is the solution. He's only saying that because he's given the fuck up. There is still a pandemic going on right now that is still, it's through poor air circulation, close quarters transmission. And as every other fucking first world country has proven, we have the infrastructure to feed everyone. We have the infrastructure to continue to pay for energy and give everyone housing. We have the ability to have everyone stay at home. And if you're in one of those lucky spots like me where my job isn't affected, well, then, okay, I will still continue to do that thing because I can. Like, no one's saying, oh, everyone has to stop working. It's, hey, all of these places where people have to be in person and risk this pandemic, we can just put a pause on that. For the things that actually require
fucking
physical bodies.
Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
All right, so the current population of Japan is 126 million people. Their person per square foot is more dense than probably even the most dense in New York.
Tokyo is the most populous city in the entire world.
Yes. So Japan was able to get everything so under control, they have live events where people sit in folding chairs next to each other and are not having outbreaks because everyone is strictly on board with mask wearing, not like shouting or being unsafe. Like, they did everything so right that they are able to open more and like have some semblance of normalcy.
And just for reference, Dragor, what country's government is Japan's most heavily based on? Ours, America. It's ours. We showed up in Reconstruction and told them how to make a country, and here's a constitution and all this shit. And their country is like the most Americanized, like whatever that word means, Americanized Asian country, and they're killing it. They're doing fine.
It's true.
They're very capitalist. Japan is not communist. They are not socialist. They're very capitalist, and they're fine.
And one of the things I want to point to for that in relating to Xander's topic and what you were saying before, Pepper, is I don't believe in it, but there is a world I can envision that we will get to before gay space socialism that is a form of, quote unquote, forgive the phrase, ethical capitalism. And what is ethical capitalism? That's where your basic needs are met. Or
democratic socialism.
Basically,
I'm
describing Denmark.
I'm not
like
saying
Denmark
that,
is what the world should do.
Well,
right
I mean, Denmark is every fucking country has a different situation, and Denmark has specific things, of course, with the fucking.
The only difference between America's response and Japan's response is Japan, as a collectivist social society, all went, we have to handle this thing so the bigger thing can continue. Like,
it's the bare
capitalists in
minimum
Japan are probably looking at America going, y'all are risking a revolution. Why are you doing that?
The
You could
last
just
thing
do
that
this
we've asked
now
the American
and
people
make
to
money
do,
later.
Like, was put up a flag and buy a can of beer or something when 9/11 happened. So, like,
asking the American public to do anything when the American government will do less than that. That's where it ends up being so weird. How the whole government wants to like put this on like personal responsibility. It's like, oh, you certain people are being greedy bitches, and that's why the pandemic just keeps going and going. It's like, well, how can you possibly go out and be greedy and have a fun day at a water park or at a concert or at a whatever the fuck if there aren't all these minimum wage employees running it? If those people stay home, all this personal responsibility stuff goes out the fucking window. You cannot have your private jet take off if the fucking people running the food court and security and the tower and all that are staying home because private jets are on lock right now unless you're the goddamn president, okay? We don't need any private jets going anywhere, and if you're going somewhere, tell us about it, and we'll decide if that's actually fucking important or not. Like, all this crazy selfish behavior cannot happen without the underclass, us,
So, like,
the working
what
class,
can't be
making
done
it happen.
now. Also, with your question of we have Freaky Friday'd into status quo Joe, it's like that. Say, as the president right now, I support full lockdown. You get minimum $2,000 a month. Schools have these mandates. Like, just put your balls on the table and fucking do it.
Exactly. Like, what do you have to lose? You're all trying to tell us, as the Democratic Party, that Trump was this crazy risk, that he was the most dangerous fucking thing to ever happen to American democracy in the history of the country. So maybe take some extreme action to counter that shit. Because you know what might de-radicalize somebody? Some just, oh, you think the government's full of evil people who do whatever. Okay, so here's a check. You're just going to sit home. You don't have to go to work. No, you aren't going to lose your job. We've made it illegal for them to fire you during this shit. Like, here's your money. Sit at home, pay your rent, watch some Netflix. How you doing, buddy? You need some food? Oh, we'll send you that too. It's cool. Like, that's all the countries we're talking about that have done well. They've done these things. It's the bare minimum competency. Who are our peer countries? Who are the countries that are acting like we are right now? The UK, kinda, because they already have great health care, and Brazil. Tell us about Bolsonaro. The guy who runs Brazil basically is a QAnon guy. Oh my God. Do you guys remember when the new president of Mexico, AMLO, Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador, remember when he was going to be like a quasi-progressive? That fucker doesn't think the coronavirus is real. He has it. He has it right now. He's Mexico Trump. He has it right now. And he's like, it's fake. It's all fucking AMLO. Amway AMLO
Does he
over
still
there.
want to build the
giving
wall
us-
too?
He probably.
Holy shit.
AMLO's like, we're not going to pay for that wall, but we'll hold up this side of the wall while you build the other side of the wall. And it's like, AMLO, you fucking suck, man. So we're all talking about how the Capitol insurrection on January 6th was Q. Obviously you can see there's Q signs. It's a lot of Q people who are there. And the narrative then was that they are all multimillionaires who are flying in on private jets to do the insurrection. And now the Democrats are also saying that QAnon followers are all poor and uneducated. So, like, which the fuck with it? Or is it that being poor and uneducated has absolutely nothing to do with conspiratorial thinking or whether or not your opinions are good?
Yeah.
Discuss.
You go first, Dragger.
We don't have to discuss. We're all on the same page.
Yeah,
damn
we
it.
all agree. We all agree that being poor and being white does not make you a bad person.
Absolutely.
And not having a college degree definitely does not make you a bad person. How many fucking idiots, you guys want to go around the circle talking about people with master's degrees who are complete fucking morons that we all know? Because I got a few. I was at a party it was a graduate party. Everyone there either had already or was going for a master's degree. And I overheard someone saying, did you guys know that German is like a whole different language?
I hate people so much. I hate God.
Terminal degrees, these people. Like, having a degree does not make you good or bad. Being poor does not make you good or bad. These are arbitrary attributes. And the more that it's weird to me that the Democrats want to be like, all poor white people are bad. Because that's kind of what we were doing at the end of George W. Bush, remember? Like, Obama got in, it's like, these fucking poor white people keep ruining the country. And it's like...
And people
what are
wonder
we
why
doing?
Trump got so many votes.
Exactly. Like, what is the messaging? What are we doing? Like, what are we I'm not saying that we have to go after every Klan. Like, the Klan is not who we should be trying to recruit. I think there are millions and millions, hundreds of millions, in fact. Maybe
Disaffected,
100 million.
totally.
Poor white people who don't give a fuck about politics at all. They have no opinion. So they just kind of vote Republican because the Republicans vaguely message at like their, I don't know, Presbyterianism or whatever.
Usually abortion.
And if we approach them with messaging of, look, you're poor, guess who made you poor? And then we point directly at the people that made them poor and then we do something about it. I think that would be more effective than going, yo, all poor white people are fucking Q followers. Fuck them. We hate them. Like, it's just weird to me. That's the mainstream minute. Discuss.
I have not seen.
I agree.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry,
I have
go
not
ahead,
seen
Xander.
the criticism specifically. I do agree we should not be villainizing the poor white, and that, like, if they're like, yeah, fine, I agree. Both can be true.
I didn't think anything I said was uncontroversial. It's all pretty damn agreeable.
All right, let me put a little spin on it because what you're saying to me is each party is going to say whatever the fuck they want that is according to their plan. And so if you can't change that right away, what is failing us? And that's the media.
Absolutely. I mean, look,
Edward R. Murrow would not have let any of this shit slide because back then the norm was there was some level of truth in reporting, and that's gone. You can't even have a news discussion. Like, go look up any news article about the fucking coup attempt and look how watered down it is. A bombing happened. Domestic terrorism happened, and it's gone.
yeah. It's all about what gets more clicks.
It's fucking gone.
Like, they have a responsibility to report more things, but they have a thing in their back of their mind.
Well, they had
to
a
say,
responsibility.
right? But like now they're like, oh, what's going to get more clicks? What's going to get more interest? Not what should we be reporting?
So yeah, to the previous question, what would I do as status quo Joe? Create some new certification or what have you, and essentially say you cannot have for-profit news reporting.
Would you like to do the approved state media?
Oh,
Not
Biden
the
gets to
approved
like?
state media,
That's what
because
I'm talking
that's
about.
even worse.
We need a BBC, and the BBC
Well,
sucks, but it's so much better than anything
is.
we have in the U.S. We need some non-ad funded
PBS
news,
Max.
because BBS Max, BBC,
BBC
damn
Max.
it, BBC Max. Talk about CBS Go, or whatever the fuck, where you watch Star Trek, whatever the new. The only reason you get it is to watch the new Star Trek, CBS, whatever the fuck.
I'm fairly certain I have a folder somewhere on my computer named BBC Max.
Channel 11
Max.
Premium.
Like the BBC is not the perfect solution by any means, but goodness, look at their coverage versus America's coverage. It's just like our stuff is just nakedly, hey, this is news being delivered by a millionaire that was approved by a billionaire and turned to any network, and that is what you get. On Fox News, you'll have a right-wing millionaire telling you some billionaire's opinions. On MSNBC, you'll have some center-right person telling you the millionaire's opinion that a billionaire sold them. Like, it's just...
Yeah.
I'll discontinue my rant because you already know.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely. Hey, we got to repeat things.
The worst
okay.
thing to have ever happened, and not the worst thing, but
the worst
The
thing
worst.
ever.
the worst thing to have ever happened. I can point to
Ever.
two things. The movie Network was used as a fucking blueprint, and the Colbert Report, truthiness, was used as a blueprint.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's fucking alternative facts. Truthiness became alternative
There's
facts.
no such thing as an alternative fact. Fuck you.
And then we just like
Okay.
Yeah. Then we just moved on to fucking blatant lies, and now it's the bullshit hose that we have because that's what works in capitalism. The bullshit hose works. You just put as much out as possible, and you can't counter that. It actually worked very well for Trump, I gotta say.
I mean, hey, when we talk about changing the capitalist mode of production, that also includes the production of news. Like the way that news is incentivized is, like you said, entirely click-based, entirely sensationalist-based. So when we want to change the mode of production, that includes news. News should not be made with the profit motive. It should be made with the informing the public motive. That's what we're all
it's so
saying.
weird to me.
That's what Dragor was exactly talking about.
I wanted to say real quick, it's so weird to me because we have such an ADD media environment now that I don't know how to fix that. You know? Like,
Oh, it would require
yeah.
complete overturn of a ton of shit.
It's not an
fix.
easy problem at all.
I mean, hey, put some anchors on there. Take some fucking local news people who are making $40K a year. Put them on CNN. I want to see what they got to say. And I want to see CNN be owned by those same employees, like a bunch. Like let's have a democratically owned establishment. I don't know.
Well, and
man. I don't wanna
what you just said is very important, but not in the way that like you said it. I will always say this. Part of the problem was Fox introducing the theme fair and balanced, and everyone else basically started playing towards that. And that's the biggest lie. No one is without bias. So when you used to have newspapers called the Democrat or the Republican, that was more honest than fair and balanced because it told you where it was coming from. And that is part of the toolbox you as an individual need. You need to be aware of bias. And if it's getting obfuscated all the time, false equivalency is a form of hiding bias. Like,
Absolutely.
Okay. We got one last thing we're doing today because we are fucking shooting at keeping this in tonight. This is a new thing. This is Podcast Reacts, bitches. This is
Oh, you gotta make
Okay,
it cool for the kids, huh? Okay, I see.
Podcast Reacts. Oh, fucking, I need to find that porn where it says your dick is pog.
Yes, please.
what?
Like
Your
that
dick is so
hold up a
pog,
second.
man.
I'm going on E621 right now. We're
Are
finding
you
this.
Googling
Let me
pog?
see.
Like putting pog
I'm not
dick?
Googling. I'm on E621. I'm typing in male, and I'm typing
Pog
in
dick.
pog.
Fuck,
Nobody said pog. Okay, let me see.
Jesus
I've
Christ.
got to find it. If I don't, I'll
Welcome
find it
to
afterwards.
Searching with
but,
Pepper.
like,
The audio version. So well.
yo, can I do a thing?
Holy fuck.
Where? Oh, this is nice. This is not what I'm looking for, but this is good. Do.
Oh,
Oh
now
my
you have
God!
to share. You have
This
to
is-
share.
Jesus
Paste
Christ.
that
This
in
is
the
somebody
fucking
getting-
chat right now.
This is somebody getting fucked in 2 nostrils at the same time.
Share. What's
Okay,
the
this is
saying?
going in
Nose
the
goes?
chat. This is going in the
Oh my
chat, everybody.
God.
And if you don't want to see it, don't enter our Patreon.
Oh,
Because
it's so
okay, I
small.
got that one. Now let's get both nostrils.
No, you gave us the thumbnail.
Yeah.
You got to give
That's
us.
all you get,
I
fuckers.
can't-
That's the
No,
one you
give us
got.
the fucking link.
Here's both nostrils.
Oh
there
my
you go.
God.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we have our first podcast reacts, as I'm probably edited back to the bit that I said half an hour ago. The interview I'm going to be playing is of Boots Riley. The only reason you would know who Boots Riley is if you are aware of the film Sorry to Bother You. Sorry to Bother You is extremely watchable. A very good film. Go find it. The movie is excellent. So we are listening to Boots Riley, a relatively revolutionary, not relatively, he's a revolutionary thinker, a definitely a leftist, and this is in the year 2002. The audio you are hearing is from a show called Politically Incorrect, which was the Bill Maher show, but before he was on HBO. So you can't say fuck or anything. Like he's on ABC Network, which is why things are G-rated. There's not a lot of curses going on. And the other people you hear, we have an actor from Young and the Restless, who's the very bougie sounding dude. We have a rando Republican pundit, and we have Harlan Williams, who's a comedian that I actually like a lot. But like on this particular show, he doesn't end up coming off well because he's there trying to do comedian shit, and Boots Riley is trying to have an actual conversation. And I don't know. Anyway, I'll leave things out. How this is gonna work? Or I'm gonna play the video, and at some point, at any point, one of our friends here, Xander or Dragor or me, will say like pause, and then I'll hit pause, and then we'll talk about the thing, come back, and people listening won't hear any of this. I will leave in appropriate context so you guys know what's going on. Here we go. This is Boots Riley on Politically Incorrect in the year 2002.
Now, this is Dick Cheney's birthday today. He's 61 years young, and they gave him breakfast in bed with Enron today.
I'm so touched.
Where he's in a lot of trouble. It was not such a good birthday because the General Services Administration, which is the arm that would sue and is suing the vice president to release the records of what he was talking about with energy executives like Enron, who have met with him many times. And lots of people say, well, our policy is being influenced by these large corporate donors who meet behind closed doors with Vice President Cheney's task force. If he has nothing to hide, why doesn't he say who he met with and what they were talking about instead of just getting in the Bronco and leaving?
Oh, yes. Bill always blames the audience when he bombs.
Oh, I forgot O.J. was
See?
innocent. I always forget that.
No, it's just a shitty joke, Bill. It's okay.
But he claims that the White House needs to be able to talk to experts in confidence, except that, you know, this ain't the boardroom, Dick. Your business is our business. Ain't that the truth?
He is a public elected official, sits in a public house, and therefore the business that is conducted in that house should be accessible by the public.
And you know what they want to hide is the fact that these corporations are really the ones that make public policy. We don't really vote for politicians. We vote for corporate puppets. And not only were they making energy policy up in there, they were dictating it to them. And what other policy do these corporations help make? I want to know who told them to cut welfare reform. Which corporations were in the boardroom meeting with Bill Clinton on that? I want to know really if they have something to do about this war, because we know that the State Department was working with Enron.
At this point, what he's saying, I can imagine myself or others at the time leaning into, that sounds a little far-fetched, don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
And it's all true and more true than is even being talked about here. Because he's
the reason I like
positing
this
it
interview-
as, I wonder what they're doing. And we now know, no, like, they're doing that and more.
Dragger, the problem is,
Yeah, this is in 2002.
I just want to say one sentence
going.
real quick, is that it sounds crazy when you describe it correctly. That's the problem we're having.
Yes.
So,
Yes. Thank you. You put into better words. Yes, thank
no
you.
problem.
The reason I'm playing this interview is because it's from 2002. But if you closed your eyes and like cleaned up the quality and put it in HD, you would think they were talking about issues from today.
Yeah.
And that is why I think it's such a relevant interview. And yeah, these are facts. Yeah, these are facts that we all take completely for granted now. And remember, this is before the Iraq War basically every American agrees, yeah, bad idea. Probably shouldn't have gone to the Iraq War. Yeah, we went to that war based on lies and fabricated evidence and nonsense where Dick Cheney's company wanted to make money. Is that Enron, or was it still Enron or whoever? You know, X name, company X is making money off of the war, so we have to stay in the war. And it's crazy, not crazy, it's completely normal to hear Boots Riley talk about exactly what is happening in the year that it's happening. And now, yeah, we all can look with hindsight and go, yeah, bad idea, bad war.
Yeah.
How do we know that, and I'm not going to say how we know, I know that the bombing that's going on in Afghanistan is not to fight terrorism, it's to create little states, little Enron states, little Exxon states all throughout the Middle East, and little Chiquita banana republics.
So a banana republic is, to extremely simplify, big colonial country shows up, takes over X country and says, yo, you got to produce this thing for us and you're going to sell it to just us, where truly we say banana republic in a goofy way. There's a store named after it. At the time, the Dole Company, the reason we own Hawaii, and I say yes, own, the reason we own Hawaii is because the Dole Company wanted fucking bananas and pineapples from Hawaii. So we took them over. They were a sovereign nation with a monarch. They had a queen. They had a whole system of government. And we're like, yeah, that's adorable. We own you now, or we're going to kill every fucking one of you.
Yeah.
And guess what? They went with it. They're like, okay, that's fine. We'll give you our bananas
Yeah.
and pineapples, and we will sell
Oh,
our
and to be
people
clear, most of the
labor and-
time they've killed a lot of them before saying, we own you
Oh,
now.
yeah.
Like, they
This is
kill
like,
you first.
You want to surrender? You want to surrender?
Yeah.
According to the law, he does not have to. Legally, he does not have to produce this information.
Yeah.
It's protected under executive privilege.
I know,
and
but-
as the largest energy trading
Well, it's
company
not.
in the world,
First of all,
in
it's
the
not.
world,
Executive privilege
they
has
would
to
be
do
able-
with national security, not about who paid for
And
your
this is the
negative
only,
ads.
this is the only administration
sorry,
that
go
has
ahead.
not
It has to do.
Well,
It has to do
let her
with the
finish.
confidentiality of who the president and the executive vice president can meet with, who they can talk to.
We
So why don't-
want to
okay, why
keep
don't
it
we get Tom
confidential that they get
Daschle?
paid off. We want to keep it confidential that they get paid off by these corporations, and that they're lying to the public, saying that we're voting for people to run the government, but we're really not voting for people to run the government. We're voting for people to get ran by the corporations.
As the
and they want
largest
to keep that
energy
secret.
trading company in the world.
Right there. Everything that this person, the conservative activist, like, look, if you're listening to us, you know, like, you can just throw out everything she says because conservative activist, done. But the particular thing that a lot of people hide behind, not just conservatives, is pointing out, it's like, well, legally this can happen. And that's not the discussion that Boots was already beginning. So they've already cut it off at the knees. That's like, well, but it's legal. As if that makes it right or justified.
Not only are they listening to these corporations, they're owned by these corporations. The people in the cabinet are on the payroll for Enron. The head of the Republican National Committee collects a 7-figure salary from Enron and lobbies for them. You know,
Yes. When-
and they fire people on the cabinet. They say this person is not working
I
with
agree
them,
with some
and
of
they
what
fire them.
Yeah,
So the
some of
whole
what you
I
thing.
agree with some of what you say.
I don't think Enron's trying to take over Afghanistan,
But
however.
precisely.
Pause.
Pause.
Yeah, exactly.
Bullshit. Yes, they are. That's literally what
Everybody on the call is like, pause. Isn't it weird to hear Bill Maher in the year 2002, after 9/11, when we all, as an American consciousness, think that we are going over to save these Iraqi people, like citizens, like, oh, we must defeat the tyrant. And like, you can tell Bill still believes that, because when he says, oh, we're not going over there just to make money. What a ridiculous thing, you would say, Boots Riley. And now we get to all look with the 2020 hindsight and go, yeah, just like how we saw this happen in the 1800s, in the 1900s, in Vietnam, not even to like in your lifetime, Bill Maher, and all these people's lifetimes. It's happening right now again, and unbelievably, yes, the motivation is still pretty much the same. We need oil. They have oil. We don't give a single shit what the process is, how many votes it takes, Republicans, Democrats. No, we are taking that oil. Die or get out of the way.
Like, how often have they just said it? Like, just saying, we want to take the oil. They did, like, fucking Trump would say it, and it's because it plays well with his base.
Trump says we should
So-
help Syria and take half their oil as payment. And now the current Biden person who makes that same kind of decision says we should help Syria and take their oil as payment. Like, it's nothing has changed from 1776 to 2021. It's the same motivations. We were doing that shit to Cuba. The second we got England out of there, it's like, hey, Cuba, want to get fucked because we have a big old dick and we want to cram it somewhere.
Yeah. I gotta be honest, I don't know if, like, the pandemic has kind of shown me that, like, you can fuck people so hard and get away with it. Like, I don't know if climate change really does cause a massive uprising. I don't know if I see that happening, like, because of the companies, as you were saying.
We hope it does.
You know, they'll find a way to subvert.
Buy
you
this
know?
product and you're preventing.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well,
They have enough troubles.
Okay, not only
your
them,
conclusion
but-
that we are trying to establish banana republics in Afghanistan,
No.
that's a far-fetched conclusion, you know.
It's not
This
just
is not
Enron that they're
far-fetched
meeting
if
with,
you
though.
look at the facts. Let's talk about facts.
President
Yeah,
Bush also
let's-
met
yeah,
with
yeah, facts.
representatives.
All right,
Let's talk about this hair, man. That's what I want to talk about.
Harlan Williams, as a comedian, I like. As a comedian, I like Harlan Williams. That's the guy who's like goofing on Boots, but like,
In his mind, he's doing his job.
yeah, he's a comedian trying to be a comedian on the show.
Yeah.
But listening to Boots' responses, they're all amazing. Like, he goes like, let's talk about this
are,
hair,
yeah.
man. And he's like, well, let's talk about your fucking mustache, dude. It's like,
Let's start with the handlebar mustache.
All right. Wait. Whoa.
Boots.
handlebar mustache.
Yeah,
is what he
exactly.
says.
Handlebar. He has this gigantic, like, Harlan Williams does not look like this now. He has a big handlebar mustache.
Bill, though,
Yes,
that it's
let's
not
start.
just Enron.
This
He's
man
met
is
with
trying out.
Whoa, would you please?
He's met with representatives of
Just continual quips where like Boots is not a comedian. Boots is a writer and a rapper, and the fact that he can just zing right back at fucking Harlan Williams makes me like Boots even more. They're trying to clown on him continually. And he's like, yeah, but what about you, bro? Like, you auditioning for a writing job over here, man? I love that.
alternatives, energy alternatives, alternatives to energy.
Yeah, but those people did.
Energy.
Oil.
as I
Right.
stumble.
I mean,
Oil.
you can't quite even get it out without laughing.
Ah.
I mean, yes, he's met with environmentalists too, and somehow their wishes don't quite make it into the policy.
What wishes of Enron's made it into the
You gotta be-
national
look, you
energy?
gotta
It's
be
known
kidding.
that Enron has supported the Bush family for years.
It's known that
It is
Enron
known
supported
that
Clinton
it is known
for years. He gave more money to Clinton than the Democrats than he's
that's
given to Bush.
nonsense. 75% of
Yeah.
the monies given by Enron have gone to the Republican Party, 25 to the Democratic Party.
Yes,
Right?
and it is
That's a
true,
fact.
and it is true
That is
that
not true.
Of course
corporations
it's true.
give to both parties because that is how corrupt our system is. You have to hedge your bets because the other guy might win,
That's
and you
true.
want to have a bribe down on them too.
As-
But they did
They
give
do.
more to the Republicans because, you know, if you want to get laid, you go out with the slutty girl first.
Ken Lane-
Good point, Bill Maher. Way to fucking cap it with a sexist joke, you fucking asshole.
using their life
Hey, hold on.
No, no.
The memo that Kenneth Lay gave to Bush and them is exactly the energy policy that was laid out. You know, that's exactly the energy policy. So you can't say that
It's
Enron didn't dictate that.
That's not true. There were 9 proposals in Enron's.
Pause. 8:52. I say we should cancel Harlan Williams for visually and physically mocking Boots while he talks. As he's doing this, he's like trying to like mimic Boots's like mannerisms and movements. You know, every fucking communist in the world talks with their hands. Get over it, people. Bernie talks with his hands. I talk with my hands. Boots Riley talks with his fucking hands. Meet an Italian. What are you gonna do with your life? All right. Anyway, this interview continues, and I highly encourage everybody to look for politically incorrect Boots Riley. So the reason he was on the show, on Bill Maher in the first place, is because he had an album out called The Coup. Hi, this is Pepper talking from the editing booth. I was wrong. The name of the album is not The Coup. The name of the group is The Coup. And I'm going to play this song. It's a lot newer than 2002. This is from an album called Sorry to Bother You, just like the movie he made. It's called The Guillotine. I just like it, so I'm going to play his verse and a chorus.
We want to thank you for flying with us. We know you could have stayed home, just cried and cussed. Mail your guns go off if it's time to bust. Mail their tanks have time to rust. They got the armies turning bullets into gold. They got the hookers turning tricks into cold. And every time the police kicks in the dough, an angel gas breaks dips in the O. And even if a D-boy flips in my O, it ain't enough to buy shit anymore. Sleep in the doorway, piss on the floor. Look in the sky, wait for missiles to show. It's finna blow, cause they got the TV, we got the truth. They own the judges and we got the proof. We got hella people, they got helicopters, they got the bombs, and we got the guillotine. We got the guillotine, you better run. We got the guillotine. We got the guillotine, you better run. We got the guillotine.
We're about to go watch some wrestling. So,
Wrestling.
in fact, Zaner and Dragor, who do you look forward to most meeting on our patreon.com/lastminutepolitics when they join our Discord and want to hang out with us? Like, what kind of interactions are you most looking for? We're going to go to Dragor first. Like, what do you want to talk to people about? What do you want to do?
I am I'm in a bunch of various Telegram groups, but I currently don't have the lefty crowd to bounce stuff off of each other without having to essentially risk the fucking liberals speaking up.
You gotta fucking censor yourself to keep the libs not canceling you.
Yeah. I have to say things like, I personally won't demand how anyone else feels, but I can understand how they wouldn't necessarily be happy with Joe Biden being elected.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
You know, I have to phrase it like that.
Right.
So we look forward to talking
no,
about it.
like, it's fine to be angry, like, that you had to pick between Joe Biden and worse.
Yeah, man, we want to make a place. So when I say yeah, man, that's not at you. See, that's one of my things where I just say yeah, man.
I understand. It's
fine.
fine.
It's the general Joe
Yeah,
Biden.
man.
Come on, man.
Come on, man.
Yeah. That's like his
like-
catchphrase.
I'm not picturing a literal like male person, but yeah, it's just part of how I talk.
It's like
I'm
Jesus
not-
Christ.
I'm not saying that to be like deal with how I talk. It's more like I'm trying to think about how I talk. Like, why do I say
just
man?
have
But
so much
Given enough
gendered
time,
language. in our-
everyone can
yeah.
can evolve their phrases, sayings, and how they speak.
We do it all the time when we don't realize it, is the truth.
That's why I'm saying yo and they all the time. Like they is my default.
Yeah,
I'm trying
it's
to make
great.
it my pronoun, and I'm like, hey, not sir man, but hey yo.
Hey, I'm
Yo
NB.
is a gender neutral pronoun.
I'm NB, and I suck at they. It's hard.
Oh
Some,
fuck,
like-
Dragor. Am I the only non-envy person on this call?
I mean, basically. Sorry.
So I am now in the minority of the
Yeah.
only binary member of our
I know.
group. I fucking set it off, yo. We are no longer.
Yeah, but we're all white.
Well, at least we got that.
We're all on some stupid.
Come on, man.
Wow, come on,
Come
man.
come on, they. Come on.
Oh, don't worry, Pepper. All gender
Come
is on
on,
some
you.
bullshit gradient, is how I describe it. So
Oh yeah,
I'm
totally.
sure it's just on
Look.
the hue balance of your Photoshop, and you just figure out where
Hue
you are.
balance.
Like
As a
in
Mac
the-
user,
Where the
saying
fuck are you
hue
on
balance
the
is very funny.
gender spectrum? Well, I gotta go get groceries now, so we.
Yeah, exactly, right?
So like, yeah, just like do what works for you, and you find out what describes you, honestly, and we all go through that process.
Guys,
So-
if you want to see the picture of 2 dicks in 2 nostrils that I posted very recently in this chat, you're going to have to become one of our patrons. It's only $1 a month. Do it. I guess goodbye, because we want to watch wrestling and we're late because...
Jesus. There are so many men in the ring.
Too many men.
There are.
All right. Say goodnight, Xander.
Good night, Xander.
Say goodnight, Dragor.
Good night, Xander.
Good night, Xander.
Oh, good night, Pepper. Good night, John Boy. I'm old.